Hello and welcome to Chat with Charlie. Today's talk is going to be about FND, so functional neurological disorder. I'm going to read some notes that I've made on my phone, and also some of the symptoms that I've written down, just because I can't remember all of it, and some of the things I've only learned today. So you may have watched Britain's Got Talent recently, and there was a teacher called Alex, and he suffered from vocal tics, which were quite apparent, and he also said that he suffers from FND. And I find it quite interesting because it just shows that no one person experiences FND in the same way. So for him, it was his tics, and which is part of the symptom of FND, these uncontrollable twitches and urges, which he displayed. And I'd never really looked into FND because when I was diagnosed, it was just on a piece of paper and it just said FND. It didn't even say functional neurological disorder, and that was it. Neurologist had changed the diagnosis from non-epileptic seizure attack disorder to FND, because non-epileptic attack disorder comes under that umbrella term of FND. So I kind of thought, I don't know what it is. I'll put it to one side. I don't need to Google symptoms. I know what I'm experiencing. But then I was interested after watching this guy on Britain's Got Talent. And I thought, I need to know what my diagnosis is. It's a bit like going to the doctors and having a lump checked and then giving some kind of medical terminology for it. And most people will then Google or ask somebody, the doctor said I've got this, what is it? So I thought, okay, I've been told I've got the FND, so I'm going to look into it further. So I found out that April was FND Awareness Month, and the colours orange and blue are used to represent FND and the awareness of FND. So during April, apparently people were wearing either blue and orange or walking around like oranges. So I decided, firstly, I don't have an orange top. Secondly, if I did have an orange top, I definitely wouldn't be wearing it. And lastly, I just got stuck on the orange, really. So you never know, maybe I'll just invest in an orange costume or something. So there wasn't any support, and I didn't know what those three letters meant. So I kind of brushed it aside and thought, well, I'm waiting for a specialist to help me. So I have been looking at some things. So the Hope Charity, which I was just talking about, they help to promote wellness and better education and awareness about the condition, and I'd like to go into that in a bit more detail. So, as I said, the Hope Charity, so FND Hope UK, is the only global patient-led charity for people with FND, and its aim is to promote awareness, support affected individuals, and advanced research for the prevention, treatment and recovery of FND. The goal of #FND and Us campaign is to share patient experiences to help raise awareness of the disorder. So those were the functional diagnoses. They're not making it up. Okay, they're not making up their symptoms. They're very real, and they're very real for the person. They can cause financial, physical, mental and emotional distress, and they can't just be turned off like a switch, on and off at will. So like many illnesses, the symptoms may wax and wane. The cause is some say it can be triggered by physical injury, psychological, which would make sense because referrals to neuropsychologists or neuropsychiatrists are usually the next step in treatment. And it can just be due to trauma to the brain and or bodies and under all the body. And it's that central nervous system which stops working properly. And this disruption with signals it's like letters being sent to the wrong address despite having the correct label. So there's that, you've got the central nervous system sending these signals from the brain to the body, and there's something that's stopping it's going wrong. It's not, it can also be compared to a computer. So someone might say, okay, your brain is like a computer. There's no damage in the hardware or structure of the brain. It's the software on that computer that isn't working properly. And functional neurological disorder is a newer, broader term that includes what some call conversion disorder. So we've established that it's a FND is a problem to do with the signals being sent to the rest of the body, which they're just not working together. They don't want to be friends. So that then causes symptoms. And there are quite a few symptoms that come under that umbrella term FND. So I don't want to bore you too much. I just picked out a few. And for me personally, functional seizures is one of the symptoms of FND. And this is the non-epileptic attack disorder. And it's where you lose awareness or the ability to interact with surroundings. You may have uncontrollable shaking of the body parts, usually the arms and the legs, and it can come and go throughout the day and change in intensity and strength. And for me, I found that I've suffered over the last 3 years to a point where I have probably 8 plus, maybe more actually, seizures a day. And these seizures happen, they can be triggered by certain things such as heat, if you're tired, if you've got your period, if you're dehydrated. So it varies it triggers vary for each individual. And yeah, I have these. I'm in the wheelchair for safety as well, because in the past when I didn't have a wheelchair, I'd be walking and then I would just drop to the floor. I wasn't always able to sit down in time. I would just go, and it just wasn't safe, and it caused a lot of scenes in supermarkets, and it wasn't good. So I kind of got used to it now. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'm so used to having them I'm so used to suddenly people say, do you get warning signs that you're going to have a seizure? And I say yes. And that involves, or includes, and my vision might go blurred, my speech might be slurred, suddenly feel very tired. I'll try and focus because I can feel that my vision is going, so my eyes may look a bit glazed over, I guess, and I can feel my body starting to shake. And it's involuntary. I can't stop it. It just shakes, and my eyes close, and that may happen for 2-3 minutes. In worst case scenarios, it's been hours, and that's exhausting. So some people with FND may have similar experience to me, or they may not. Functional tics, which is what I referred to earlier about Alex, and they look similar to those with Tourette syndrome. However, a specialist can only diagnose Tourette's or functional tics, and they can obviously look for the differences and diagnose appropriately. It's interesting because I've kind of had different symptoms throughout my life, especially throughout my 20s, and one of them was tics. I used to get a constant urge to bang my chest twice and then jerk my head back 3 times. This was a daily occurrence, and it wasn't only embarrassing, but it really hurt my neck and my chest. And it was often if I was very anxious, if I was tired, and I just looked stupid. I felt I looked stupid, and I couldn't control it. It was this urge to do it. It was like this urge to do it, and I just couldn't shake it off. So, I remember one day I was walking. I didn't usually used to get vocal tics. I was walking along the street and suddenly had this urge to. If you remember Pikachu, for the 90s people out there, Pikachu, and Pikachu goes Pika Pika, doesn't it? So I started going Pika 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 down the street. And it's frustrating because you know in your head, what are you doing? Shut up. But he's just uncontrollable. Pika, Pika, that he was coming out. And I have to laugh about it because that's how I used to get through it. I used to just laugh. And luckily, it just went away. Don't know why. I must have suffered from a tic for probably a year, maybe 2. And I would have episodes where I couldn't talk. I used to especially find it after a non-epileptic seizure. My speech was quite difficult, so I learned a bit of Makaton and British Sign Language. It's just a shame that nobody else could understand that, so I looked like even more of an idiot. But I was trying to communicate in a way which I could. And I would just lose my voice. So I remember once losing it for about 3 weeks. And I think that was after a non-epileptic seizure, which wasn't diagnosed at the time. And then I lost it once for 7 weeks, and then 8 weeks. And it was all baby talk. I used to add endings onto words. So I used to add ed. So I used to say I'm tided instead of I'm tired. Some people used to say, "Oh, what nationality are you? Are you Irish?" I don't know how that sounds Irish at all. I think I sounded Polish, Swedish. Yeah. So some people just didn't have a clue what I was saying. So I used to write a lot of things down. It's a bit embarrassing trying to go into a shop or something ask for something, and for them to just look at you like you're stupid. So, yes, my friend was pen and paper back then. But, touch wood, my speech hasn't gone. I remember professionals saying, Charlie, your speech is back. And I hadn't even realised. And it was literally overnight, my speech has suddenly come back. Don't know how. But I haven't got a clue. I just woke up the next day and I was able to talk. So very strange, but it just shows you how complex the brain is. You know, and sending these signals that are obviously screw with, because it's not normal to just stop not being able to talk for weeks. So I found that very interesting. There are different things such as sensory symptoms, senses. So I'm just having a look now. So bladder and bowel function, IBS, chronic pain, and cognitive changes. And there were some other symptoms as well. At one point I had problems with swallowing. So went for tests and everything because I was choking on food. And I had experiences where I choked on food and it was getting to the point where I was receiving CPR for a tomato. I don't eat them anymore. Completely gone off them. For a tomato that got lodged in my windpipe, in my esophagus, and I just remember bits of it, and yeah, so I think that was, everybody should need CPR. I think I must have had CPR about 5 times. So I think I was well known to the ambulance service, but not in a good way. And so swallowing, and the SALT team helped a lot with that, so speech and language therapy team. One professional, very, very lovely lady, she helped me to start eating again, so to start on liquids and then gradually progressing onto solid foods. Now I'm looking at the time now and it's I've already been talking about 18 minutes. So I'm going to round it off, I think, in a bit. Give me a couple of minutes, and then what I'll do is I'll do another video to continue on the symptoms of FND. So, bladder and bowel function, an overreactive bladder. I don't know why I need to end on this. I'll end on a load of SHIT, yeah? So, well, luckily it's not SHIT. But anyway, overactive bladder, signals sent from the brain to the muscles are slow. The function of the brain is to tell us when our bladder is full. And this doesn't happen with people with FND, not all people. The brain will say, no, your bladder's empty, you're fine, you can go to bed. Next minute you're thinking, well, hang on a minute, I need a wee. You go to the wee, oh, see, my bladder's not empty. And for me, it's something which I struggle with. It's that control of bladder. And it's just something, I guess, that comes with age. So, for all of you who suffer from a bit of a weak bladder, I think we should just put it down to getting a bit old or laughing too much. That can be another one. So I think what I'll do is I'll do another video. Let me know what you think of this one. Let me know if you want me to talk about any specific traits that affect you, or it'd be great to hear how you experience FND, and hopefully I can learn from your experiences too. And then you don't have to keep listening to me waffle on. So I'm going to say bye for now, folks, and I will speak to you soon.